Der Tropfen, der das Fass zum Überlaufen bringt. The drop that overflowed the barrel, or better known as the straw that broke the camel's back. Vanguard has been mocked, memed, dismissed, and disregarded, but I don't want to fall into that trap. I want to be constructive and fairly assess the game, as well as what went wrong. It's probably the worst game I've ever played, not because it's so bad that it's good, but in a much more unfortunate and upsetting way. Like any good writer, I'll jump in at the start. In the beginning, God created the heaven and... oh, wait, that's too far back. Starting on a train in the dark with a British man yapping, the doors open to reveal a war-torn city, and if you look hard enough into the distance, you can actually make out that it's Hamburg in 1945. It's supposed to be a tutorial to quickly get the players into the game, but I don't think this is really the way to go. Consider the first mission of Modern Warfare 3. It does tell us how to aim, but that's from an era where toggle aim was still popular, and it lets us change to the more reasonable hold to aim. But other than the 9 bangs, which were a new tactical equipment, you only got the tutorials if you hadn't already engaged with those systems. If you ADS before you get the prompt, it never gives it to you. Similarly, if you swap to the XM25 before it tells you to, you don't get that prompt either. This means the game isn't talking down to the player, it trusts that as they've engaged with the systems, they know how to play. Conversely, you could argue that there's more depth to the gameplay of Vanguard, but that would make an intro or tutorial like Modern Warfare 1 or 2 a safer bet. I don't dislike the fact we've got a tutorial, I just don't enjoy the implementation. A special operations unit and one of the guys doesn't know that you can use a knife to kill someone? Between the Sten, the Webley Mark 6, and the fact only the British characters care about Novak, it's clear he's British. That means he's born with the knowledge to stab random people in the centre of London already. There's not much to say about this part of the mission, but I want to highlight one section, destroying this truck from so far behind. Turns out, you're really not meant to be able to destroy this truck. Otherwise, this shit happens. The truck is used to jump the gap, so you can play on the other side of the train if you so desire. But because I could destroy it from so far back, I hit a checkpoint after it was already destroyed. I actually decided to restart this mission just because everything that happened from me playing normally caused so many problems. I didn't even finish the fucking tutorial and I had to restart my game. And that speaks volumes for the quality of this game's design. Also, the reason I was destroying the trucks is because I kinda just thought there was an achievement for it. Turns out, nope, I wasted so much time and effort for a couple mildly funny voice lines. I'm at least glad they gave some attention to it. Once you finally get to the half track, you get to use the worst fucking mounted gun of any game ever. This shit can shoot someone in the head 10 times and not kill, which is even worse considering I was using that exact same gun for my primary. Why not just copy the stats for a campaign exclusive mounted gun? Also, be careful if you want to destroy the trucks, cause they can just fucking abduct you. It actually happened to me a second time, but I was lucky enough that it didn't suck me into the center on the second time. Taking control of the train leads to, well, it would be exposition if it actually taught us anything. This is just imposition. I'm saying this here in the hopes it stops me complaining throughout the entire video, but the interpersonal writing is just cringe.
This ain't just another Easter egg hunt, is it?
Yeah, mate, what's the bloody story?
We don't quite know.
You mean the SO fucking E doesn't quite know?
You know what? I'm gonna go pull the brakes.
If this is so important, why did they not send an army?
They did. There's 6 of us.
Mate, we're not from the same army. Hell, we're not even from the same continent.
Do we understand the plan?
I shoot Nazis. They die. That's my plan.
Did you drop your suppressed weapon at all in the previous section, believing you wouldn't need it because everyone on the trains already knew you were there? Because I fucking did. I even replayed this another time to see if having a suppressed weapon matters, and nope. Went through on the easiest difficulty and they just gave the enemies like 4 times more health, so you can only get through after the others are already alerted. That was such a waste of time. It's a bad idea to give the illusion of choice, to then rip it away and tell the player you don't give a shit what they want. Causing quite the kerfuffle, starting a fight with every single person in the train station, the player has to cross this invisible trigger for the smoke grenade to be thrown and cause the other waves of soldiers to spawn. If you play it as bad as I did, you're in for a rude awakening. I don't know how much I can blame that on the game and how much I can blame it on myself. So, to be completely fair, I'll just put 100% of the blame on the game. Once again, I am flawless. If you want to mount on an angle and unleash Hitler's buzzsaw on any unfortunate targets, you're entirely discouraged by the game, and I promise I'm not just finding anything and everything to complain about. This is just how my experience was. The inside of the sub-base turns into a shooting gallery where the team has to clear a path to one of the U-boats in order to locate and claim German intelligence. However, it goes wrong and the team gets captured.
Do the honors, will you?
Arthur, the sirens have stopped. That can't be good.
We gotta move. Now. Novak, help me.
I would say that the squad gets interrogated, but again, that's just not what's happening. It's just to give us a big, bad, scary person to point at and go, look, this guy is an evil meanie. We can't just assume that someone in a Nazi uniform is bad unless we see them do evil stuff. Just ignore the 100 or so other Germans that we killed. A tall, dignified listener of classical music, clean-cut and stoic. It's honestly a trope that needs to die, because the story has to stop just to shoehorn in all the ways we can understand this guy is a bad guy. Which is a shame, because the casual racism of the scene actually works well. Unironically, the casual racism is the only good part of the entire cutscene. Other than Novak dying, nothing happens, so let's jump into mission 2.
You give your monsters what you say not deserve.
This excursion centers on Arthur meeting Webb, the other Brit of the team, and as an expository device, it shows why Webb has this reverie for Arthur. It's actually pretty decent for the most part. Jumping out of a plane 1,000 feet over Merville, which is a fucking horrendous baby name, by the way, our lucky rabbit lands in a body of water, just like this other lucky rabbit oh no, he drowned. It's nice to have media show that drowning was a genuine risk paratroops had. Even in D-Day, standard troops were drowning from the weight of their gear. Having lost all his kit, Artie Boy has to sneak through a forest, avoiding detection from the squads hunting all these falling Brits, and fuck man, this is the best looking part of the whole game. If they lent into the amazing lighting and atmosphere, designing maps around it and giving more depth than this one visually impressive section of a mission, it would be well remembered. Instead, it's just a less than mediocre attempt at cinematic set pieces. A lot of the World War II COD games were based on or inspired by war movies. The Russian campaign of the first COD is based on Enemy at the Gates. The mortar section of the Modern Warfare reboot is inspired by 13 Hours. The fountain scene of World at War is Enemy at the Gates. The COD 4 mission Shock and Awe is based on Black Hawk Down. The Comrade Sniper mission of COD 2 is based on Enemy at the Gates. They really love that film, don't they? The point is, there's good games with cinematic moments that were literally ripped out of films, and they've shown that they've been creatively bankrupt for a long time. It raises the question of whether it was a lack of communication, bad game design, or their own pride that fucked it up. Meeting up with the other troops leads to an uncomfortably long wait for the interact prompt to talk to someone that was already talking with us. The chaps have a bit of a natter over what to do now their commanding officer is dead, leading to a Welsh man being the voice of reason. That's how you can tell it's just a piece of fiction and that it's not supposed to be judged as if it's realistic. Having been given command over the remaining troops, it's now your duty to charge a German outpost and the introduction of the gimmick around having multiple protagonists. While controlling Arthur, the player is able to give commands to the lesser rabble in a manner I can only describe as an imitation of death. It doesn't appear that giving commands actually has any effect on the game, other than making your AI teammates worse for the sake of being able to shout at them and wave your hand around. If the bots were competent allies, they'd kill more enemies and leave less for the player and less targets if the player were to give a command. It's stripping the consistency of your allies just to pretend to have a complex system. The Germans have a kill funnel set up on the bridge that, to be able to cross, requires the player to give orders to the squad to suppress the MG, safely opening a window to close the distance. The suppression timer it shows is a lie, because if you hit an invisible trigger that you don't know about, all of a sudden the MG just stops being scared and goes right back to filling you with roughly 1100 rounds of 792 per second. Blowing up the MG nest opens up access to a nice little truck and what I feel should be the end of the mission.
We made it! Alright, let's move it. Everyone on that transport. Who remembers how to make a plane?
Disembarking on the shores of France and speaking to Webb to get an idea of what you're up against, and honestly one of my least favourite things about the game, equipping binoculars to scout it out. It's weird how often they do it, but I'll concede it's a personal gripe and not an inherent problem with the game.
Think you can handle taking out the lower gun?
I fancy my chances.
That bunker's our way in, but it's packed with MGs.
It'll be a hard push.
First job's getting across that minefield. But that anti-tank ditch could be useful. I've got an idea.
I'm all ears.
We can punch a hole through the mines with those blitzers there.
And the bunker will make mincemeat out of us as soon as they hear the engines coming.
We're going quiet then. No engines. Bail at the last second, let gravity do the work. That should get us to the ditch at least. Well?
I love it. And I think you should go first.
Coasting down the hill and opening a path for the other soldiers to get through leads to an anti-tank ditch, and a sage reminder that when someone's shell-shocked, just yelling at them is going to fix their problems.
We've got a job to do! Get out there!
It's like when my doctor told me I had nothing to be depressed about, except it's nothing like that and now I'm only allowed plastic sports. Once you're ready, you give the command to rush the bunker in a second suicide run. Take control of the first bunker and the Welsh guy dies in a moment reminiscent of Sullivan from World at War.
Ready on the door, just waiting on you, boss.
You take the lowercase, mates. I'll take the upper ones. Don't forget the flare.
Let's move up. Chris, Sarge. All right, boys, this is it. You're on me.
Hurry!
Try and get back. We need to clear
I'm sure it's a more common trope, but I have better things to do with my life than watching old war films. Okay, no I don't, but still.
Suppressive fire now!
The trenches you find yourself in are very sparse, and it's at this point I felt there wasn't enough to keep me interested. There's no intel to collect, there's no special gun or mounted turret to reward exploration. There's only go where we tell you to, put on the striped thigh highs and bark for me. The second bunker, the first target, has the dumb fucking trope of, oh, we'll give the player a slow animation to build up suspense and then we'll jump scare them. Which, fucking hell, they're doing it all the time these days. When you see a character grabbing something way too slow, you already know it's a jump scare. Change it up, make the jump scare come from an enemy coming out of a door around the corner or some shit, instead of this rudimentary pussy ass shit that wouldn't scare my niece, and she's scared of fucking Skibbity Toilet. The reason I harp on that shitty excuse for a jump scare is because it completely ruins the tense atmosphere right after, of a bunker lit almost exclusively from your flashlight. The horrors you see aren't as bad as the ones you don't, after all.
Barely see a thing in here. Take it slow.
This place is a damn maze, but it should connect to the other casemate. What's up? Christ, that was close. Now every crowd knows we're here.
While I already knew the situation, so kind of ruined it for the recording, this is actual good game design. I personally think they should have removed the music. If the only sounds are diegetic, it's more immersive than having an orchestra telling you to be scared. Having destroyed the guns in the casemate, it's time to signal to the Allied Navy that the job is done, and very predictably, your flare gun doesn't work, leading to a scene stolen from Battlefield or some shit, where you have to dodge the Germans and the Allied attacks to reach Webb, who we already know's alive, if a bit battered. Because this is a flashback from a story he fucking started telling.
Where the hell have you been? Funny time to take a kip.
I was just waiting for some mad bastard to come and save the day.
Well, let's you and I signal our boys, shall we?
The end of the mission leads to like 2 or 3 back-to-back cutscenes taking up over 10 minutes of your time. Just to get control of your character in the 3rd mission, you have to sit through almost half an hour of cutscenes. And you know your first action in the 3rd mission? Sitting down into another fucking cutscene! And I'm being conservative, I didn't count things like using ladders, waiting for doors to open. I might have even missed counting the cutscene for destroying the first gun. So the amount of time you're left waiting to start that 3rd mission is even higher than that. Playing as Paulina and having the least believable family conversation, your brother Misha forgot to take the Molotovs to the bomb making lessons he's teaching to the bomb makers so they can learn to make bombs. Dropping off the Molotov so he can teach the bomb makers to make bombs. You know, I feel like I should be able to give it to him, considering, like, I don't care that... As that's such a huge story point. Fuck it, just teleport him ahead. Paulina decides she's too late and will have to take the rooftops. And this is a nice unique idea, with really good set pieces. It's a nice introduction to how Paulina is more about being a weasel, sneaking or climbing around enemies to take them from surprise. Unfortunately, the greedy bastards at Sledgehammer couldn't be bothered to give us more than one climbing animation, leading it to being a shallow copy of something like Assassin's Creed or Mirror's Edge. There's this juxtaposition between the type of stuff you've already played through, your expectations, and what you're doing on these rooftops. And if it wasn't for the lack of animations, I actually wouldn't complain about this rooftop section. Reaching the med tents, you can see how nice the weather is, until you see that something spooked the local birds and the heavens open fire on the Soviet Medical Corps. And honestly, other than what I've already said, I have no complaints about this section. Not only did they model the horns of Jericho onto the Stukas, they fucking animated them! That's the level of effort we want from something like this, not just, one animation, that's finished. While she was scuttling around on the rooftops, Polina saw her father shooting the invaders, before hearing them capture him, along with the rest of the citizens, lined up to be executed. Also, can anyone tell me how this managed to be a miss? I'm just gonna let a section of this play out, and I want you to decide whether this seemed like a fun section or not. You're forced to keep Polina's father's rifle, which means you're relegated to using a slow to reload 5 capacity shotgun, a 5 round capacity Kar 98K, or get lucky and pick up the pea shooter of an MP40. Exiting the apartment complex and rushing over to your dear loving father that we love so much, he dies right in front of you. I'll just let past me talk you through my thoughts. It feels like the writers don't understand what makes a compelling character death.
I should have been here, Papasha.
Something like Ramirez, something like Roach. Does Ramirez even die? I don't think he does. Something like Roach from MW2, fucking Sandman from MW3. Those are compelling character deaths. But someone we play as for half a mission that has no personality? An old man we see for a quarter of a mission whose personality is just, I hate my wife. You can't just throw character death and be like, you have to be sad, that's the dad. There's no bonding. He said like 4 sentences. He's had no impact, and you're trying to play this off as some big, oh, her dad died. I don't care that her dad died. I care more about the time I've lost playing this game so far than I ever care about that father. The player is ping-ponged around different shooting galleries where you're intended to take 1 or 2 shots before disengaging to relocate, and with the weapons on offer, the bots have infinitely more recoil control than you have, leading to them laser beaming you across the building. Not too much of a problem unless you play on veteran difficulty. After rescuing your final surviving family member, you climb up to another shooting gallery that gives you less of a chance of surviving, and the only reason they give you Molotovs is so that they can give you an achievement for hitting a half-track with the Molotov.
Alina, can you hear me? I'm on the radio. Блять, I'm not receiving. Ой, Боже, I hope you're listening to me for once. We are pinned down in the crater by the trolley.
The 4th mission, the Battle of Midway, the worst piece of shit here. I'm not good at forced flying sections, and that's without having a controller that doesn't work. Then again, using a controller is actually harder somehow. When it comes to the dive bomb part, the game tells you to watch that tracer fire and gives you death hints such as dodge bullets with some fancy flying. But that's a fucking lie. The flak is completely RNG, and while it tells you to be mindful of your movement, what you actually have to do is not stop spinning in a circle and pray to the RNG gods that you don't get blown up by something you physically cannot dodge.
Almost! Now, goddammit, now! Pull up, pull up!
Fortunately, after bombing that ship, we don't have to do something like that again, and can just try and fail miserably to shoot down some zeros. Unfortunately, I lied and we have to gain altitude to do a second bombing run. Although this one is more fun because, other than the problems we already had, now your own allied planes can crash into you, killing you instantly because fuck you for deciding to play our game. Fucking kill yourself. I've completely skipped over it because there's nothing interesting at all, but after being captured at the end of the first mission, the team has been locked in a German strongpoint and sometimes they yap to a German guy played by Merry from Lord of the Rings. That's the only interesting thing about that plot, so now you're all caught up. The mission, named after the hit noughties Ozone song Drago stayed in Thai, this is a direct continuation of the last one. Our ace pilot crashed and was left hidden while his gunner looked for help or support. It's a nice change for the player character to be the one hurt, hidden away and left behind. Even if it is a way to separate us from our ally, it's nice to not be the one running away.
Think about the Yankees.
What? You know I'm a
We get to use Wade's special ability early on, and it's equally really useful and completely useless as an ability. It highlights any live enemy in the area, letting you see them through walls and foliage and making it easier to avoid detection as you walk around the beautiful forests of Tahiti. Oh no, wait, it's just Papua New Guinea. To be fair, they're only like 4,500 miles away. That's the distance from London to Kansas, and everyone knows they're right next to each other. This isn't a forced stealth section by any means, you can kill as many people as you want. And while this almost looks as good as the forest section with Arthur, that one still wins out for being more visually impressive and utilising the light to improve the mood. Stealth missions don't have much to mention in a video like this. Not that it's a bad mission, it's just the focus is on the gameplay itself. And that's something I can't convey to someone watching. After being a sneaky sneakster, you meet back up with your gunner Matteo, who rightfully chastises you for leaving. When the Japanese Imperial Army captures the two of you, they put the worst head covering on. I actually don't know how I missed this while I was playing. That's not just that my settings are too high, that is an egregious visual problem.
Do you speak Japanese?
Being sent into a forest controlled by your enemy to save downed pilots is a suicide mission, which is why the boys in the 93rd are sent in, one of the coloured regiments. I've tried to write some kind of joke about them not being seen as human, but I can't think of something that doesn't make me sound like the racist, so just pretend I said some funny, scathing indictment of the system.
They're still alive.
Yeah, no shit.
Cut them free. I'm aviation machinist mate, 3rd class Hernandez. The ungrateful one's Lieutenant Jackson. We got shot down. That's why we're here.
Thanks.
Sergeant James Washington, Army, 93rd Infantry Division. Lenny, patch this man up.
You got any planes? We need to get back up there.
Planes? We lucky they gave us ammo.
I didn't have a better place to show this, but the reason Wade's ability is so useless is because when ADS, it has an aggressive aimbot that sticks to any random enemy nearby, flicking across the screen in an unnatural and nonsensical way, fighting the player for control over where you aim.
Get that pillbox! We're on cover fire! Let's go!
Joining the 93rd, you push up a hill and show off how flamethrowers actually have good range, as well as accidentally stepping onto your own fire and killing yourself. That's canon to the story, I promise you. The flamethrower having ammo was a bad choice because it makes players less likely to use it for fear of missing out or whatever. But it's fun and powerful. It's the best implementation of a flamethrower that I've seen in a game. The group's goal is to get the pilots into a Val dive bomber and gain air superiority, meaning the 5 of you, along with the rest of the 93rd that finally deign to get involved, battle to clear a path to the hangar. The plane is basically the end of the mission. You get an on-rails shooting section with an MG that doesn't overheat and has infinite ammo. Other than hating the implementation of the aimbot, I don't think I have anything bad to say about this mission. It's just a shame that the first properly competent mission is over halfway through the game.
There. We heard Steiner's been creeping around the commercial district.
Makes sense. He's never far from the slaughter.
Svoloch.
Let's go.
Now wait. We should see who they are so we can let their families know. Knife.
Short! That's a sniper shot. Precise.
What, you think
They
that's
might be.
That's a sniper shot, precise. Other than the fact the entrance wound is clearly on his forehead, making his death illogical, just because a bullet hit this guy in the head doesn't mean there's certainly without doubt snipers around the place. The start of this pile of garbage has Polina back for blood, outsniping half a dozen German snipers, and the intention is to get her brother Misha to draw them out so Polina can target them safely. But the Polina we get to know would never sacrifice her own brother's safety. It's not character growth or self-improvement, it's just antithetical to the character we've been shown. I took a bunch of attempts because I thought there was an achievement to snipe all of them without missing or using Misha. Turns out it's just kill 5 of them without being hit by them, and I already got it. Misha gets shot, and in a scene stolen from COD World War II, you have to carry your comrade armed with nothing but an 8-round pistol against enemies too scared to fire back at you until they try to kill you with an explosion.
Lean on me! I've got you! Keep pressure on the wound!
How many? So many! We're clear! Come on!
You call that fucking clear?
I'm losing too much blood. Hang in there! Keep your head down! Did you get him? They keep coming! Watch out! He's down! Let's move! We gotta move!
Shut your mouth! I have you!
Watch out!
No! You cover the opening. I go out and flank them.
There is no time.
Let's get.
Oh. I will slow them down.
In what was supposed to be an act of self-sacrifice to slow down the Germans, Misha tries to blow his own sister up. Alone and armed with nothing but her wits, her knife, and the 2 guns she already had, so basically how she already is, Polina focuses solely on Steiner, the guy that led the attack on Stalingrad that took her father's life. Crawling to get closer to him, a Panzer Mortar uses his own wall hacks to discover where she is and bust through the wall purely as a jump scare that adds nothing to the experience. This section is sneaking around and doing takedowns on the Panzer mortars and reinforcements. So we'll skip to the section where she confronts Steiner and let me just check my notes. Right, she sneaks around trying to do takedowns on Steiner, who inexplicably runs away instead of finishing her. I've been very much against Polina, and I want to clarify, it's not Laura Bailey's fault. She's probably my second favourite of the cast, but her character is not written well. The best character in my opinion, Riggs, is voiced by Martin Copping, the voice of Mozzie from Siege. I'm pretty sure when he found out Mozzie was getting an elite skin, Martin cried. And I'm not even mocking him, it's nice to see how much it meant to him. Such a precious little guy. A demo expert, the game wastes no time showing you how poorly the Australian troops were treated, with the British major just walking all over our boys and blaming them for his own incompetence.
Why the bloody hell aren't you at your post?
Major Hems, we
thought you'd muck around.
Hang on now, what's that in the lead?
I said be quiet. I'll do the honours, thank you.
Sir, Mark is that first rock.
Yes, I know.
That's a tank.
Well, Germans have tanks, Private.
But the armor's too thick. We didn't pack for a tank.
Bloody hell.
Hit the treads. It's the only way you're going to stop it.
I need focus.
No, sir, wait for the treads.
No, wait! You distracted me.
The aim is to steal fuel and supplies from the Germans, but British commanders woefully underprepared. Riggs, his bestie Des, and a British tosspot Jacobs are ordered to chase a German vehicle to stop them from alerting their allies to the attack.
This time, didn't get very far. This was a simple raid, and half the supplies we wanted have gone up in smoke.
Sir, there's still one truck down the ridge.
Well, then take some rats and get after them, Jacobs.
Let's go.
No good for sniffing around the dirt.
Fresh blood. Follow it.
Fucking genius idea, Jacobs.
That's sir to you, Private.
The name's Des, and that's Lucas, and neither of us give a fuck about your rank.
The chase leads to a German outpost that wasn't on any allied maps, a perfect target for the desert rats to sneak in, kill everybody and steal intel. A map highlighting another camp not on allied maps gives the rats a new target.
You read crowd?
A little. Of course he does.
It looks like one of Rommel's officers checked through here to visit a camp up the way. I don't know what kind, I don't recognize these symbols.
Then we go take a look.
The Krauts just lit up the sky, more could be coming. No, we return to base, report to the Major.
We can't report a thing if we don't know what it is. That wouldn't be good soldiering, Jacobs.
Also, for some reason, Jacobs holds his SMLE as if it's got a pistol grip. Sneaking through the desert and avoiding enemy patrols as best as they can, the boys come from behind.
Where is everybody?
They enter the back door. They take the shaft behind. Fuck it. I'll just let them explain.
Look at this. I think the chap on the left is Rommel. Who's the fancy bugger? Seriously?
We're gathering intelligence.
Something you obviously lack, Private.
Hilarious. You sort your papers. You know what I see? I see a ton of shit outside that goes boom. And what do you suppose we should do about that?
Well, we should blow it the fuck up.
There's an achievement for destroying the Stuka with a grenade, a pistol, or a launcher, and it took way too long to do it.
Gas depot.
Let him have it! I'm on it!
I decided to show this cutscene because it brings to attention one of the things I don't like.
Okay, okay. Don't get your undies in a twist.
Lucas piled it on like a champ. He didn't have to tell Richter anything more than the lies that Nazi already told himself. That was the Third Reich for you. Their reality was delusion.
Most of the missions we play are just the good guys telling tall tales to manipulate Richter, but there's no contrast between the stories they tell him and the stories they tell themselves. You can't criticize the story of the game because, oh, it's just an exaggeration to confuse Richter. Of course Polina didn't win a 1v80. Okay then, what about the equally unrealistic claims they make between themselves when no one else is around? Why does the intentions of a piece of media save the actual content from scrutiny? The penultimate campaign mission and the last chance you ever have to get your hands on the SMLE in this game. It's another mission where the context doesn't really matter. You're just a dirty, filthy Aussie rat. Why would you need to know the intricacies of the ingenious plan our boy Major Hams thought up? There's an achievement to get run over by a tank, and I actually think that's really funny, so the devs get a point.
Found it lying around. If he catches you with that, you're a dead man.
I'll drink to that.
A German ambush takes out one of your tanks. The Germans have the area dialed in for mortar fire, so it's down to you, Des and Jacobs to clear out all the mortar teams. The designers use the geometry and verticality well, although bolt action rifles feel like they're the only effective weapon in this particular situation. The mortar crews don't bother trying to save their lives, which is always a weird trope, but thankfully once the last crew is down, Riggs reminds us if we're here to fuck spiders.
German infantry are swarming our tanks. Well then let's mess with their infantry. Oh yeah, we'll just waltz our way through a field of death. Well, we're not here to fuck spiders.
Joining up with the rest of the Allied assault and seeing the inglorious Hans suicidal offensive, it's on the foot soldiers to clear out the fleshy enemies so your tanks can deal with the less than fleshy enemies. That's kind of a disturbing way to describe tanks, and I'm sorry for that. The last mission and a half, we've seen Jacobs going from being a stick in the mud to coming around and actually caring about the rats. We actually got character development, and it's only taken 87% of the story to get here.
That blanket was supposed to follow us in. On cover!
Riggs was blown up by mortars that landed 1 foot in front of him, which is also a trope that needs to stop. It was just an excuse to strip the player of their weapons and give them nothing but a Webley revolver.
I'm okay. I'm okay. The Major, we're being torn apart. I gave you an order. Form the perimeter, protect the armor. Sir, you gotta be bloody joking. We will hold this line. Our air support is fucked. We don't deal with those flat cannons, there's not gonna be a fucking line. You have your orders. Bugger the orders. We are taking that hill. Alone? Nah. I got me, and I got Des. Fucking oath. Here, take this. You clear those flat cannons, shoot this flare nice and high, then I know to radio our bombers. Good luck. Let's go. I hope Jacobs and Bluey can hold out.
Pistols in Vanguard really aren't designed to be used further than like 5 meters, and having a double action revolver after an entire game of guns shooting the frame you press the shoot button isn't something I enjoy. It's not a COD exclusive thing, I just want to shoot when I shoot. I don't enjoy trigger pull in any game I've played.
Say it was all his idea. Shit, that was close. Sneaky bastard, check your corners.
This section really emphasized a problem I noticed with this game. In order to throw a grenade back, you need to be looking at the grenade to receive the interact prompt. I've played basically every mainline COD game, and that's never been a thing before. It leads to frustration as you try to throw back a grenade that's about to hurt you or a teammate, but prep and throw your own grenade instead. Clearing the troops from the cannons leaves only one thing left for our rats to do. and they're very aware that firing the signal flare for the bombers will give their position away to every angry German in the tri-state area, and they'll have to defend this point from a counterattack. As is their way, the rats make a competition out of who can kill more, and honestly I love this dynamic. The only two characters I give a shit about are Des and Riggs.
We're going out, let's take as many of these bastards with us as we can.
The Germans push and push to then push some more, and our little rats hold against everything they can throw at them. Then the Germans get real unfair and bring in tanks.
Des, we're not done! What's your count?
But they're still no match for the two of us. Oh shit, Des just died.
Come on, Des, get up! What's that? I'm as fuck is. Jacob saw you flare this. Hurry up, Des.
Des's death is the only one in the entire game that actually means something, because we've built up this camaraderie, we've laughed with him, we've laughed at him. The only death that has an actual emotional effect on its players is the one that means nothing. His death doesn't shape our character, it's not a family member, he's a soldier and an Aussie at that. If there's one thing soldiers do, it's die. But fuck, he was a real one. I cannot convey how happy I am that this is the last campaign mission and my writing is like 3/4 finished. Somehow, writing about this game and the amount of details I've had to look into have fucked with my head. I've done something like 1/3 of the writing of my Dark Souls 3 video, and this has been so much worse. I've almost dropped this video 4 different times. The boys and girl escaped from German prison after Wade planted a German bomb against the German wall of a German prison before being arrested by Germans for trying to German steal a German plane. The head Nazi and Fourth Reich, Freisinger, is using the train tunnels to escape, and in a scene stolen from Modern Warfare 3, you know, the good one, you have to chase their car through the tunnels in your own car while shooting the cannon fodder driving between you and your actual target. The team are forced to disembark, and in a scene stolen from Modern Warfare 3, you know, the bad one this time, you have to push through the train tunnels to chase after the leader of the opposing faction without accidentally hitting civilians, while a heavily armoured enemy aims to slow you down or kill you outright. Or it could be a scene stolen from the World at War mission Eviction, where you fight enemy troops in the German train station. You know, the one where they flood the tunnels? Pushing to outside the train station sees Task Force Vanguard, that's the special ops team we've been playing as, join the Russian assault on Berlin. Funnily enough, it's a section reminiscent of the World at War mission where you push into the asylum. And honestly, when I started comparing parts to other COD games, I was just doing it for fun. I didn't think they'd steal so much from other games. Back to the game, Polina has to clear out a courtyard full of troops in a scene repurposed from the Sniper Elite games. All this was so that Riggs could move up and safely destroy the German tanks.
Lucas, I need you to take out those tanks!
Grenade out!
There's really not much more interesting to say, but I'll show off my favourite cutscene because this actually has impressive visual direction.
Hey Lucas, you got a banger for me? Give him me best.
never see Berlin again, it'll be too soon.
I can't believe I'm agreeing with you on something.
Glad we're all getting along.
Rising is right out of here, can't be far.
If we're gonna be forced to endure 6 hours of cutscenes, at least experiment and find your own distinct style. To contrast, they then stole a section from the game Mafia. Okay, I'm being a bit facetious with that one. The goal is to capture Freisinger, and we get to realise something fun. People will say all games are political and it's all just propaganda, but we never actually see the bad guys commit war crimes. Games will utilise war crimes so we feel better about killing the nasty, evil, terrible bad guys. But if you take factions and context out of it, our characters are the bad guys. We're the ones that we actually see commit the war crimes. Interesting, and I'm curious if it was intentional or not.
There is no starting over. This is your new beginning. Fascistkaya Svinya.
Do you even know who I am? The value I can provide?
You're not worth it.
Suppose that's it then.
Let's get out of here.
In the ending cutscene, Arthur shows Wade a file for Project Aggregate, which was the real-world project series for the missiles that would become the V2. And Arthur asks,
Do you think you could fly one of those?
I don't know if this is supposed to be Arthur asking a question he knows the answer to, or if the writers just skimmed the Wikipedia page of the V2 and didn't consider the fact that it's an unmanned missile. So I'll leave this one up to Occam's razor. If the game wasn't a big enough kick in the nuts, there's an achievement to watch the entirety of the credits. Half its fucking players didn't even finish the game, and you want them to sit through 19 minutes of credits that means fucking nothing to anyone who isn't trying to jerk themselves off for having worked on this dumpster fire of a creative work? I put credits in my DS3 video to thank my friends, to fulfill a pseudo-legal obligation, and I just put myself in the credits as a dumb joke. But you want to jerk yourself off because you worked in the legal department of a creatively bankrupt game studio? You're proud to have your name on this shit? You want me to hold your wife's boyfriend's nutsack too? My goal with this video was to remain neutral and to be constructive with my comments. My mum always taught me that if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. And my dad always taught me that cheap alcohol is better if it gets you fucked up for less. Fortunately, he's in a better place now. He's not dead, he's just not buying Guinness anymore. That was such a dumb joke. Look, if you want me to record more, you're gonna have to introduce me to your femboy friend.
The dev team saw that things were getting stale with zombies. The outbreak mode from Cold War wasn't received too well, and they understood that
Who the hell are you?
Oh, I'm the new narrator.
New narrator? You're cheating on me? The dev team saw that things were getting stale with zombies, the outbreak mode from Cold War wasn't received too well, and they understood that things had to change to save this game from being a failure. I commend them for that, instead of sticking to their guns and doubling down on something that, for most players, just didn't work. Instead of having large maps with little to do, they gave us Der Anfang, German for the beginning. Hilarious name for something that throws us right in the middle of the story with no explanation. The sacrifice objective sees however many players you convince to play this, watching over these meat sticks, these throbbing flesh pillars, these erect, let's just stick with what the game calls them. These siphon cores, that look like weird penises, attract a certain type of zombie. probably the kind that dropped out of school and has 3 kids from 3 different guys. I'll be honest, it's like 4 AM and I don't know what I'm writing anymore. The goal is to stop the red zombies sacrificing themselves to the pillar, because every time they do, more zombies come into the real world. It's only a hard challenge if you've got a gun that takes longer to reload than the zombies do to sacrifice themselves. It's essentially a timed survival with extra steps. The transmit objective is the good guys' attempt to get more demon allies. You have to stay within 5 meters of the floating zombie head. It's just timed survival with extra steps. Literally. Transmit objectives always have court effects, the big bad meanie causing the zombies to rise, to say the most Marvel bad guy kind of shit. If your enemies are wasting their time, you don't tell them it's a waste. You let them hold themselves back. The Blitz objective is literally just a timed survival. I don't really need to say anything else about it, so while I've got these 2 minutes of footage I don't need, I'll explain some stuff. You put these artifacts bound to demons on your class, and it gives you a special ability. Mine is Verkana, and she shouldn't be able to be here right now. The old boring perks were removed, and we've got 5 exciting new perks that are totally different. There's Demonic Frenzy, that makes you reload quicker. There's Fiendish Fortitude, it increases your health. Diabolical Damage increases your headshot and critical damage. And right, these are just 3 of the base zombies perks, Stamina and Deadshot. They really try to claim that these are new perks and it's completely different to anything we've seen before, when it's just Cold War's out of match progression put in match instead. There's a Covenant system that actually is a fair change. It makes the game more roguelike. It's a level of randomness that can actually change your experience as long as you decide to engage with more than the 3 Covenants that you want to use. Hitting the mystery box can award you any gun in the game other than the SMLE, which would be perfect for zombies, but they just decided it's not allowed in. And the weapons can be any rarity. The rarity denotes what level of pack-a-punch the weapons have. You can get comparable damage from any bullet guns, so it's really best to take fast-firing, low recoil and quick to reload guns. Guns don't feel different like they did in Black Ops 1. There's no special bonus or quirks, it's the same gun with higher damage, and up until the first seasonal update, you didn't even get a special pack camo. We've had pack camos for as long as we've had a pack-a-punch machine, or legally distinct alternative from non-Treyarch games. Back to objectives. Harvest causes random zombies to drop an item creatively named a runestone, because it's a stone with a rune on it. What does any of this mean? Fuck knows. Unless I'm hallucinating, and I'll admit there's a non-zero chance I am and I just made this up, I think these traits and objectives are powers the good demons had before Cortifex took them for himself. Then again, some of these guys have their own powers, others don't. All I know for certain is I hate the character of Soraxis.
Come see me. I am in the building to the left of the theater. Is that understood? Over.
Clearing enough objectives opens up Gabriel Craft to tell you to come visit him for canoodling, implying the way is clear, but when you get there he says, "Oh, oopsie, you still need to clear one more barrier to enter." I have no idea if the objectives are randomized, but both my playthroughs on this map had the same objectives in the same places, and I'm pretty sure I even got an upgraded DP from the box both times too. So maybe I hit the millions to 1 cougar spawn. After finishing that objective, I realised there's 3 different buttons to bring up the scoreboard, and that seems excessive. Once the door to whatever building Craft is in is open, the game will spawn in a random portal that has nothing to do with the main story, while the correct portal takes you to a void objective that just teleports you to Shinonuma again, with a random floating page that's anchored in a way the player can't affect. You just have to survive 3 rounds, after which a portal appears to take you back to Stalingrad, but not before a floating visage of the face of Cortifex vores you.
enough time and effort, I will be free.
After that nightmare, or dream if that's what you're into, the giant ice guy tells you to touch a stone in the apartments so you can commune in private, which is entirely pointless because it's the same as everything else that's been going on. Craft alerts the team to a change, a new portal has spawned, a new ally has been gained, and unbeknownst to me, that's the end of the story for this map. Or at least, I made no progress after playing an additional half an hour. I thought I did something wrong. I never got the line where Kraft says, "Oh nein, I'm trapped in this closet and I must do ein Probenfahrten." So there is a chance that shit actually did break, but I don't respect this game enough to give it another chance. The map is different, and that's the only thing that is. I'll just yap about stuff while I've got time. Boofing is the act of— oh, you wanted me to yap about zombie stuff? We've already had like an hour of COD stuff. Are you sure you want me to jabber on? I mean, these kind of jokes never work in the first place. Why would you script yourself arguing with someone? Oh, you think it would just work out for you because you deprecate everything? Okay, but your mum sucks me good and hard through my jorts. I unironically forgot what I was going to put here, so if you're hearing this, that was legitimately so dumb that it made my brain stop working. I'll just write about this map story and hope that it comes back to me, but if not, then enjoy this anecdote. The first time I played Vanguard, I was in a stress-induced psychosis, and Zabala's voice sounded like it was coming from all around me. I straight up thought someone broke into my house. I was fucking losing it. In the previous map, the omnipotent demons decided the team needed a shield for no discernible reason. Like, Kraft just says, "Hey, this page of a book is important," and the demons are like, "Ah yes, we need a super mega shield to shield the humans from imminent death." You know, in a shieldy way. Fortunately, our new demon ally found a shield perfect for our situation. Unfortunately, our new demon ally requires we prove ourselves to her, as if the guy we're against didn't kill everyone she cared about and burn her sacred forests. Having proven ourselves worthy of the Decimator shield, Vakana tasked the player with finding a speaking stone, so, in her words, we may discuss our next steps. As if we've not already been discussing our steps without a speaking stone? She says it's near the green fountain, and for some reason I didn't think she was talking about the perk fountains, which is ironic considering the only perk I owned is the green one. It took me 2 more objectives to see where I needed to go, but at least you need to open up most of the map regardless. During the never-ending exposition, I decided to grab more perks, look around, see what's what, which led me to have no idea what was required of me next. If your game's gonna hold my hand, it needs to be consistent, otherwise people stop paying attention and common sense runs out. Sure, it's logical that the next portal is right next to the speaking stone that started the lore dump, but this is the game telling us that drinking weird ooze makes our bullets hit harder, and that sacrificing human hearts to demons is admirable behaviour. Logic doesn't exactly have a place in COD Zombies. The conversation boiled down to, "I found a shield in a world, I found him pitiful," to which Demon 2 replies, "I don't understand why you want to forgive." Demon 1's response is, "I'm giving him redemption." And suddenly Demon 2 cares what's going on and is taking the reins. Half the banter feels like the writers set up a couple AI chatbots and told them to talk to each other. So much of the dialogue is superficial. They're vocalizing words, but they sure as shit aren't saying anything. Syraxis teleports you to the main area, and there is a diegetic attention grabber in this vibrating crystalline sound. I'm glad it's not more in-world floating waypoint markers, but you have to consider this is all I could hear at the time.
Yes, I got what I deserve.
destroying the crystals should free the shield, but he's not got enough life essence, to which point the team is tasked with finding another speaking stone, in which we're told, hey, this exchange of life energy is an exchange of life energy. Vakana command life energy. So, we're stuck doing another Siphon Core objective to juice him up. At which point he awakens, joins us, and the friendly demons tell us what to do by mentioning another speaking stone we have to activate so they can tell us what to do. It's a really bad fucking system. Long story short, our new shield buddy can break the chains on the page we saw back in Shinonuma, but the portal the demons used to access it prior is trapped in a containment spell. So for no reason whatsoever, the page is now floating in some random realm, we get the page, and that's the end of this map's story. I hadn't realised how short the stories were for these yet, so I went on for another 40 fucking minutes thinking I missed something. I guess I did. Finishing this map is what made me realise where the endpoint of the previous map was. The Swamp of Death. This map is a reimagining of the classic World at War map, and contrary to what you think I'm going to say, I like this. I think this map is well done. It's different enough without destroying the identity of the map. This one is all about Syraxis, and I finally get to talk about how much I hate her, but I'll get into that once we're settled in. I admittedly forgot to start recording the first 5 rounds, but basically the team chatter incessantly, we find out Syraxis has basically no memories, and Vakana just randomly knows how to get them back. Whoa, what do you know? The monolith to retrieve the lost memories just so happens to be in this swamp that nobody knew about. Humans really take a backseat in this story, so all that Mystery Incorporated can do is to ask, what's new, Scooby-Doo? The monolith was hiding a cipher mechanism, but it's missing parts, so the team have to get the team need to get scraps of the decoding wheel for something they can't start until round 15. So in the meantime, we'll have to work towards building the Wunderwaffe DG2, for reasons that are never really explained. You just need it because a writer or dev decided you need it. This map is the first to either introduce us to, or to just highlight the problem of zombies despawning and respawning when you ran like 2 rooms away from them. If you're playing solo and you need a second for something like reading the cipher sheet in the doctor's quarters, you can only get like 3 seconds of peace before you've got zombie finger up your booty. At least they were gracious enough to stop the zombies attacking you on steps like inputting the code into the wheel. At round 15, Zabala the Deceiver, the same mini-boss that we've been fighting for 3 maps at this point, graciously joins the fight and donates her own electricity attacks to power up this Tesla coil. Once that's charged, we can throw her out like yesterday's jam. Stun gun in hand, our duty is now to start a lockdown, which will spawn an excessive amount of Stormkriegers, and it only finishes once you've killed a random amount of zombies with a blue aura. As you can tell, I've put as much into my writing as Sledgehammer put into the game. As long as you can survive the mini onslaught, you get to see a blue orb, an echo of the lost memories of Syraxis. I cannot fucking stand the shrill, screeching voice of Syraxis.
We won't keep you long. Just tell me about the relic. The one they used to ambush me, what, a couple of centuries ago?
It's grating and it's overmodulated. Again, I don't think it's the fault of the talent, I think it's the fault of the sound department and whoever had the bad idea that an integral character would sound like someone with their nuts in a wood chipper. The echo of the whisper of the lost memories of the annoying bitch told us about a mirror that's between both our world and the Dark Ether, only visible after having consumed the blood of zombies. Finding the parts of the mirror is boring and random, so let's just move on. I also want to take this moment to say that I've not rehearsed any of the Easter eggs or the main quests or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going off the game's direction, or memory in the case of this map, and anyone that knows me knows my memory is non-existent. Getting both parts of the mirror and taking it to the dig site starts the penultimate step. There will be a number of orbs correlating to the number of players you have in the match, and each player has to follow that orb and shoot it until it decides to return to the podium you started at. A nice short step before the final one, to summon the Echo of Syraxis and start the boss fight. You know, after an exposition dump telling us Syraxis was the side piece of Cortifex.
Damn you! Just leave me alone! I need to know what you know. Now, spill it! Why did Cortifex erase my memories? Why did I even matter to him? You are a part of his clan. A member of the royal bloodline. You are his bride, Syraxis. His consort. No one mattered more to him. No. That can't be true. I am nothing like Cortifex. If you cannot handle the truth, then die!
You don't get any points for the kills you get in each of these phases, so if your weapon's too weak, or you're just bad enough that you can't keep the DPS high enough, it just becomes impossible to beat this Easter egg. The Echo regens its health on each failure. You're told to lure her close to the pedestal in order to stun her, but no, you just make sure she's in the bubble, start shooting, and a ball of blue energy flies into her face to stun her. Once you unload your blue balls onto her face, it's over. You can keep going if you want, but there's nothing else to keep you here. The only other time I did the Easter egg, like a year ago, I managed to softlock and I was pissed that it meant I had to spend more than I wanted on this game. Casual players should not be able to softlock themselves just playing normally. Oh well, one more to go and then we're pretty much finished. I haven't recorded the next one yet, and I've never played it, but I hope it's easy enough for an idiot like me to understand. The final map of the game, and it's just the second map with a sickly green filter put all over it. All the perks are in the same location, and boy, they do not want you to figure out the Easter egg for yourself. The game guides players to find pieces of a Pack-a-Punch machine in order to repair it, and that's where the hand-holding stops. And yes, that's a super high-tech laser rifle in my World War II shooter game, thanks for noticing. I'm not sure how a Russian 7.62 turns into lasers, but I also don't know how the sun can tell it's bedtime, so who am I to question it? Once the two parts of the Pack-a-Punch machine are interacted with, a podium randomly appears out of the ground, which can take our bronze artifact from Shinonuma, the mirror that took Syraxis' memories. It ends up splitting Cortifex from Von List. Being the classic big bad evil meanie guy, Cortifex, who now has no use for a human, teleports his only ally straight into the enemy. You might ask why he'd bother doing that, and that's a good question. Moving on, taking a portal into what I guess must be the Dark Ether, you just hold out until the construct, a giant pillar of randomness, decides to down all that entered the Dark Ether. Once again, you may ask why, and I actually have the answer this time, I just won't tell you. Just like the last time we were on this map, we have to prove our worthiness to an almighty Dark Ether creature in order to be able to claim the Decimator Shield, this time taking the form of 3 sets of trials. The first I started with was the Trial of Sacrifice. Little did I know that you actually have to fulfill a prerequisite before you could start each of the trials. For this one, you need to use Molotovs to light 3 torches hidden around the train crash area, and the guide I used was wholly unhelpful. I've never watched someone do this Easter egg, I never played the map before, and reading a text-only guide was definitely a bad decision. Once you sacrifice an upgraded weapon to the orb, an Uberkrieger spawns and you have to kill him and then grab the full power drop to be able to start. That's not what I was told, so it took me a very long time. Several pillars spawn in, and you have to use your Ring of Fire next to each of them and kill zombies while standing in the area of effect. I had this fun situation where I finished with 15 seconds left, so I had the sound effect of the timer running out for the entire rest of the match. It's a pretty grating sound, so I'm sure glad I could listen to it for an hour. Trial number 2, the mindfulness one, is a timed Simon Says, except worse. Completing each phase gives you a challenge and they genuinely all suck. Win or lose, you can only do one attempt per round, so if you fail you have to flip the round and wait for the final zombie before trying it again, at least on solo. Phase 3 lets us see our favourite random masked gimp, Zabala, spawn in, and hey, at least they finally made her somewhat of a threat. Even if we have dealt with her 4 times in 3 maps already, considering that the Shadow of Syraxis is just a reskin of Zabala. Trial numero 3 is the least offensive, and half of that is because the Decimator is the best zombies character. His actor actually tried, put the effort in, and the writing staff managed to make a character that isn't grating, cliche, or outright horrendous. The trial itself is unlocked by shooting a small red crystal outside of the playable area, interacting with yet another red orb before going on a fetch quest. The main requirement is smashing open 3 fleshy siphon core penises and pouring the sticky fluid from them into an empty perk fountain. An easy enough objective and a nice reprieve from the bullshit I already went through. Well, other than one buggy interact prompt. Completing all 3 means that the players are ready to challenge Cortifex in one of the boss fights of all time. I thought I was prepared enough with level 3 armor and a level 2 gun and the perks I had, but what is this fucking damage? Sure, maybe the laser gun was a bad choice for weapon. I could have probably got 50% more damage with a regular bullet gun, but the fact 400 headshot damage on a zombie can become 70 on Cortifex's weak point is just unfair. That's like 16% of my damage actually going through. Phase 2 is mostly the same. You throw stones into plants, they ferment the rocks or something, you throw rock at a rock, which flies into bigger rock, and it makes him vulnerable. Making the boss fight of the game a boring bullet hell was definitely a bad decision. Bullet hells work because you can see every attack, and you have to outplay it. The fact I can die to shit I couldn't possibly see is unfair, and yeah, I didn't finish the Easter egg for this video, but Activision haven't finished a Call of Duty game in like 7 years, so it's thematically appropriate. I didn't play much of the multiplayer during its life. I played 1 or 2 free weekends, and I hated the fact that Godzilla was running around slide cancelling and literally aimbotting me through walls. The identity of a game is way more important than most devs give credit, and the identity of COD lately has been so over the place, they don't even know what they want. Looking back and playing against bots, the gunplay is actually really good. It could have been an enjoyable game for me if it didn't have fucking Snoop Dogg hitting a blunt on my corpse. At least it did have everyone's favourite World War II era rifle, the FN F2000. I'm just using this section to talk about stuff that didn't really fit into the other 2. The sound in this game is amazing. I'm sure there's been many, but I can't think of a game that has better sound than this. The difference between shooting indoors and outdoors is realistic, and it's audibly satisfying. Veteran bots might be a bit overpowered though. I did a round 50 run of zombies to see what the weapon level situation was like, because you need to get every weapon to level 70 before you can get the mastery camos. In 50 rounds I earned 33 levels. That's less than half of the max, using only one gun with a permanent double XP that's been going on since the game's lifecycle ended. It's nice they did that, but why the fuck do I need 70 levels? I personally hate the system of unlocking the same attachment 97 times per weapon. You should either reduce the number of attachments, or like the MW2 reboot where unlocking an attachment made it free on all guns. I know that most people didn't like that system, but it did incentivize playing different weapons. At least for the start of your grind. The main menu background looks fucking horrendous on ultra settings. I've got everything except tessellation maxed out, and it's actually gross to look at. this looks like it's 320p upscaled. Speaking of this background, the music for the zombies has a section that sounds like it was lifted straight out of BioShock or the background ambience of Fallout New Vegas. Don't know if it's just me, but I either think of Art Deco architecture or collecting mantis eggs in a burnt down school. I guess that's everything, so my next job is now to work on a game that my friend begged me not to buy him. So, you know, I'm looking forward to that. Also, I don't know why this video got so sexual, it just kind of came out.